All right, so the ANC in the Western Cape wants Tiens du Toit, that's the student who urinated on another student's belongings, expelled. The party leadership met with university management today. Du Toit, of course, captured on a video urinating on the desk of Babalo Ndwayana, who has since laid charges. The university suspended Du Toit pending an investigation. Ronald Masinda has been following the story. He joins us now from Stellenbosch. Ronald, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Won't you bring us up to speed in terms of another allegation now of racism, this around the law faculty? Tell us exactly what the allegation is.
So, according to the University of Stellenbosch, they released a statement last night discussing in detail as to some of the allegations and how they are responding to them. Apparently, Sally, around 12th of May, a law student was on the receiving end of racial remarks. There have been not a lot of detail in around that allegation, with the university telling us today that they just want this process to go on. The investigations are ongoing, and that they will report back to the media once there is clarity as to what took place. But what we can tell you, during the course of the day, the leader of the opposition, Cameron Dugmore, had a chat with university management. He then also met with the 19-year-old Babalo and his uncle earlier, and what Cameron Dugmore had said, Sally, is that he also wishes to meet the family of the alleged perpetrator just to get to the bottom of what took place, but he condemns the actions that have taken place here in Stellenbosch, and he says that for a long time such issues, systemic racial or systemic racism has taken place here, and a lot of it has been swept under the carpet. So as opposition leaders here in the Western Cape and civil society, they are calling for an end to these matters. He had this to say further.
One thing is clear, that I think we should see this as a defining moment in the fight against racism. We must actually draw a line here and say this Stellenbosch incident of Sunday morning must inspire and urge us to take on racism full on. We have to battle against it. This demon of racism, the barbaric thing that happened, it comes from somewhere. And at one level we need to basically make sure that there are consequences. So if you do something like this, don't expect that you're going to stay at a university. You don't belong here. And you need to be an example. An example needs to be made of you. But what we also need to accept, that doesn't solve this problem. So what do we need to do with parents? What do we need to do with our society to actually build? I mean, we talk about creating a non-racial future in this country, a prosperous country, but it's an easy thing to say, but it's another thing to actually reach the kind of society that we want to reach. So we are appealing to everyone. Let's, all of us, South Africans, African, colored, white, Indian, whatever religion, whatever language, let's make a stand and say this incident where Babalo was humiliated must be a spur to us to actually do something much more direct.
And Ronald, we know from yesterday already Babalo is having a tough time. I see he's in that clip. You've also spoken to the family. What are they telling you?
So the uncle Ndwanyana said that he's here to support his nephew. Also given, Sally, that the family, the parents of Ndwanyana are still in the Eastern Cape. They said that the young man is traumatized by what has been happening. Fortunately for him, his uncle lives here in Stellenbosch, so he's not too far away. And they were going to give further details after their meeting with Cameron Dugmore as to what step they are willing to take forward. But Sally, I have to also point out that we also spoke earlier today with a person who used to be an employee at the university, also talking about her own ordeal, saying that she lost a job on Friday and that she suffered a lot in terms of mental health. And she says that the systemic racism that has taken place in her workplace led to her breakdown. She says that although the university is trying to create a space where transformation and equality is key, it seems like, according to her, many people who are in her environment have not changed. And this is a sentiment, Sally, that has been shared by numerous student leaders and youth leaders that we've been speaking to. One of them had this to say.
Incidents of such nature are not happening for the first time at Stellenbosch or for these former Afrikaner universities such as the University of the Free State. You will recall a few years back at the University of the Free State, there's at least been about 2 or 3 incidents. One where our mothers who were cleaners were made to drink urine by white boys in a white male residence, exactly as it would have happened in the manner of Stellenbosch. So this tells us that there is a culture that has been inculcated in these former white institutions. There is something about the culture of the institution that makes white boys believe that they are urine or that black people are deserving of being urinated on and their belongings urinated on. Because if it was an isolated incident, maybe we would have some level of mercy and so forth. But this is not an isolated incident. This has been the modus operandi that has been used by white racists in former Afrikaner institutions, which makes us believe this is what they are doing to our parents back in the farms.
Yeah, very interesting indeed. Ronald, I want to speak to you a little bit more about Theuns du Toit himself. We know that yesterday charges were laid against him. Am I correct? It is housebreaking, malicious damage to property, and then is it crimen injuria? All right, and that is where the racism would have been. That's where the racism allegation will fall, am I right?
So at this stage, Sally, all we know is those 3 charges, and they were further confirmed by Babalo and his team. He has been having a lot of support in and around him. And just to talk about the support, Sally, in the background, we're also seeing EFF members, provincial leaders here in the province, also trying to get more information on what took place here. So this is a kind of support that Babalo has been receiving. Politicians also seemingly jumping on the bandwagon, supporting, to say that they are supporting this young man. All this happening against the backdrop, Sally, of an event that is taking place, and the event is the installation of Justice Edwin Cameron. He is here also. We spoke to Thuli Matunsela talking about the event and saying that it was a very important event for the university, not touching on the particular racial remarks or racial issues that we've been hearing about earlier, but Thuli Matunsela saying that Justice Edwin Cameron played a pivotal role as a human rights activist. So that is what she wants it to be remembered in terms of today. But what we're gathering at the moment is that from the conversations that we heard also from the ANC delegation, they said that they don't want this to overshadow what is taking place here, this event in particular, because issues such as racism are very key and very important. So what we also know is that there is students who are gathered not too far from here. It is not necessarily open for the media. They said that they're not going to allow us. They're going to give us feedback because they're also planning a protest tomorrow. And the information about that protest are still sketchy at this stage, but we are hoping to get word from them. We do know that the EFF is also gathering there to hear what is going to take place. The PAC also informed us that they'll also be here in their numbers to also try and maybe mobilize each other as one for this cause.
Well, certainly Justice Edwin Cameron comes to the university at a very interesting time, and it's great that he's got a track record as a champion of human rights, and this might in fact be his first order of business as Chancellor. Thank you so much for bringing us the very latest from Stellenbosch University. That's our reporter Ronald Masinda.